Hi everyone, my name is RJ. I'm an Adobe Senior Product Evangelist, and in this Adobe TV episode, I'd like to illustrate how to generate online help in the Adobe AIR format without typing a single line of code. So let me go ahead and illustrate this. So to set the stage, what I've done is I've already authored my Adobe RoboHelp project. As you can see, my table of contents is called Buzzword. My index also is ready, and it's called Buzzword. My glossary, it's pretty much ready, and again, it's called Buzzword. And the next thing I need to do now is I need to set up my Adobe AIRHelp settings. And to do that, I'm going to go ahead and bring up my single source layouts by selecting pods and then single source layouts. And this is where you're going to be able to create additional single source layouts, customize the existing ones. And so in my case, what I'm going to do, since I don't have an Adobe Air single source layout here, I'm going to go and create a new layout. And from the list of output types, this is where you select Adobe Air, and this is where you specify a layout name. So in my case, I'm going to go ahead and call it AIRHelp. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK for that. And again, the real beauty of generating AIRHelp from Adobe RoboHelp is that you don't have to know anything about the AIR SDK. You don't have to be a programmer. You literally just enter some information in this dialog box and you're ready to go. So to illustrate this, I'm going to go ahead and specify a help title. This is the title of the actual AIR application that'll display at the top left of the app. And I'm going to go ahead and call it Demonstrating Adobe AIRHelp. Now, the great thing about Adobe AIR applications is that they have an auto-update mechanism. And so as an author and as a developer, you might have plans to release updates to this version. So in my case, I'm going to go ahead and get started with version 1.0. The help ID is how a developer is going to connect the help to their application. So in my case, I'm going to go ahead and call it AIRHelp. Now the other thing is, because this application is actually a native desktop application, it has to be digitally signed. And so you can either browse for a digital certificate that you have, or you can actually create one. And if you click create, you're going to be able to specify, things like the publisher name, the name of the organization, the country, the password, and so on and so forth. Now, I happen to have created one already, so I'm going to go ahead and browse for it. And mine happens to be called airhelp.p12. I'm going to go ahead and click open. And I've already specified a password, so I'm going to confirm that. And that's pretty much all it takes for this dialog box. Now, on the left-hand side, I'm going to move on to the content section. And this is where I get to specify the usual things in RoboHelp, things like the conditional build expression if I have one, things like the table of contents, since RoboHelp allows me to create multiple TLCs. The same goes for the index and also my glossary. I can also specify the very first topic that is going to appear, so the splash screen, and I do want introduction to appear, so I'm all set there. And of course, a couple things that we introduced in version 8 of RoboHelp is the global application of either a master page or a CSS, but in my case I'm not going to do that since I have already applied the proper CSS and master page. In the template section is where you're going to find the look and feel, the skin of the AIR application. As you can see, we have 3 templates that we include. In my case, I'm going to go with the multi-tab accordion, and from the skin I have 2 skins that apply to this template, and again I'm just going to select the default, which is midnight black. I can specify the copyright information, so I'm going to go with 2010, and I can also specify a description for the AIR app. And then the other thing that I can specify is the width and height at which this AIR application is going to launch. So I'm going to go with something fairly basic 800 by 600. And I can also even specify some branding options like the logos and the right images for the AIR app. But I'm actually going to do another Adobe TV episode to illustrate that. So stay tuned for that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the View section. And this is where I get to specify things like the highlight search results and the color that I want to use. So I'm going to go with something fairly typical like a light yellow. This is also where I can specify the commenting. In other words, if I want to open up my AIR application for end user commenting. I talked a little bit about how you can continue updating your AIR applications, and therefore I started with version 1.0. And this is where you would tell AIRHelp the location where you plan to make updates. And you can either specify the file or an HTTP path. So I'm not going to do that for now. And then the other thing that you can do is you can also add resources. And this is sort of around the idea of end-user generated content. In other words, if you want to include links to particular blogs from community influencers, this is where you could do that. And again, I'll come back and demo this in a later Adobe TV episode. And then the last thing that you can do in this box is to be able to show where the sort of the counterpart online content is going to be, and this is ideal for syncing up the AIR application with the web counterpart. So once you have all of these settings, again, at no time did I type a single line of programming code, which is the beauty of Adobe RoboHelp. I'm going to go ahead and click Save for that. And that's how simple it was for me to set up my new single source layout, which is based on AIRHelp. So the next step, and sort of the final step here, is to actually generate the AIR application, which I'm going to do by right-clicking AIRHelp and then clicking Generate. Okay, so once the generation is finished, a couple things that you can do. Number one is you can view the results, and this is going to be sort of a preview of the AIR application. And of course, you can also install the application, but I highly recommend that you take a look at the results first in case you need to make any further edits. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, so this is my Adobe AIRHelp application. And a couple things that I want you to notice is notice the look and feel that I selected, the accordion style. So here is my table of contents. I can click on index and notice how it displays my index keywords. I can go to glossary, and I can even go to favorites. And in the favorites, I can even add links and even an RSS feed as well. So it's also a great RSS feed feature in AIRHelp. At the top of the list, I can go ahead and toggle the comments pod since I did enable this. My search is up here at the top. There are some nice little features as well, like the ability to zoom in, as you can see here, just by dragging the little slider at the bottom. And so once I see that my AIRHelp is exactly what I need, I can now go back to RoboHelp and make the necessary adjustments. And I can, of course, install it because, again, Adobe AIR runs as a native application on your desktop, and it has the equal functionality, sort of the single experience across a PC, a Mac, and even Linux. So I hope this gives you a good sense of how easy it is to generate online help in the Adobe AIR format using Adobe RoboHelp. And again, the real message here and the takeaway is that you don't have to know anything about really Adobe AIR to generate AIRHelp. You don't have to be a programmer. There's no need to type a single line of programming code, and you don't have to know anything about the AIR SDK either. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have found this useful. And if you have any feedback, just leave a comment at the bottom of this video on Adobe TV, and I'll keep an eye on it and answer any questions you might have. So thank you.